By alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon By. Taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Frank from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Prepare your ears for pure soccer, my friends. This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I am your dutiful host, Nate, and as always, I am joined by my intrepid co-host, John Bisworm, coming to us all the way from Milwaukee tonight. John, how is the homeland treating you?
Nate, this place really is my fountain of youth. It's like I cross the border and immediately transform into a 25-year-old John Bisworm.
Just blasting fish, speeding down the freeway.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm old enough now to have a rental car, and I immediately I'm breaking the sound barrier to get to wherever I need through my own secret. My secret ways around town that I gathered throughout the years. Nice. But no, man, it is good. It is really good. I'm here for my day job again. So to those who's listening, soccer is not my day job. So I do have some fun responsibilities that I have to do on a day-to-day basis. But this is my favorite place, Nate, and maybe I'll connect up with some of our frenemies that we have in the soccer sphere.
Sweet.
While I'm here.
Well, it's all Minneapolis City on the show as far as the eyes can see. We've got a certain crow was trending on Minneapolis Twitter this weekend, and we're going to let you guess who until we get to cover that in a second.
In like 1 minute.
Yep. We've got a whole pile of new signings, so we will break them down and get you even more fired up for the season if you're not already. And one of those signings is with us tonight. We are excited to welcome this player to his first People's Pitch podcast experience. We'll be joined shortly by Max Stiegwardt, which is pretty great.
Yep.
So Minneapolis Twitter was all aflutter on Saturday because of a former Crow. For a brief moment, he was trending, and we were all better for it because Brandon By scored against Minnesota United.
So City fans always get excited when Brandon's out there for the Revolution. I know I particularly watch way more Revs games than I do.
Than you need to.
Than I really need to. Like that Revs Real Salt Lake game is a real highlight for me. As long as I see that Brandon's in the 11. It doesn't hurt when on the call, they give City a shout out before the game. That's always great. And then once he scores, an overexcited, always ever excited Callum Williams name drops us again. So at that point, the Twitter sphere just like took over, and people doing shout outs and others saying like this is the ultimate 3-year troll job by Minneapolis City.
This is Minneapolis City's 3-year plan. That was my favorite one.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? I'm super happy for Brandon. He's such a great dude, and he's one of those players that unless you know him, he looks kind of like your average squad guy for an MLS team. But in fact, he's not. He's a massive scorer for the Revolution, I believe. He's built to score goals, and he has the physical tools to match that, but his awareness and his mind to play wherever they need him to. He was out wide. He played up top for us and through college. He was out wide as a right back in his rookie year, and now he's in a more kind of advanced role in a 3-5-2, so he gets up the field more. So he really can play wherever you need him, and I really wish, Nate, that we had more time with him as a Crow, but the chips fell the way they did. And at the end of the day, we can't complain, right? At the end of the day, whether it's in his post-draft press conference or the gifts that fans of City give him when he plays United or getting a shout out when he scores, Minneapolis City will always be following Brandon By around for for years to come. And I thought it was interesting that they played the song "Bye Bye Bye" when he scored.
That was that's what I had that ready to go. And then he never played for us again.
Right, exactly. So I liked in his post-match interview, he talked about how the some of the veterans were giving him some crap about that. But anyways, hats off to you, Brandon.
Yeah,
many more goals to come.
Coming off that runner-up Rookie of the Year performance last year, I'm super happy to see him get the best of a team that passed on him in the draft. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to understand how United missed out so badly on a talent that was sitting right in their backyard, but I'm sure they're super happy with their Carter Manley pick.
Yep. Or
sitting over in Madison.
Yeah. Yep. Not going to get into that today.
Nope. So from old pros to this year's flock, we have a load of player announcements to drop in your lap.
Just plop right in the lap. So that is correct, Nate. First up, is the signing we announced last week, which is Sekou Chroma is back with the murder. The man, the myth, the legend that is Josh Sekou Chroma.
The mystery.
The man who wears his own branded bracelet, which I think is awesome. He's featured in 13 games, logged just over 330 minutes, scored one goal, a big goal, and it had 3 assists and 1 yellow card. And then recently was a mainstay in his first year in school at Marshalltown Community College, which is a perennial powerhouse community college, where he featured in 19 games with 14 starts, 7 goals off of 16 shots. There's a pretty good goal scoring ratio.
That's not bad.
4 assists and a game winner.
Yeah, John, you and I. Well, more me because you knew about it already, but we watched Sekou come a long way, right? Really developing last year as the season progressed. I remember when he came on away at Duluth, and I'm thinking, like, we're trying to kill this game. We're trying to hang on to this draw. I was worried that we were putting him in as like an offensive Hail Mary and that Duluth would take advantage, as they had tended to do over the last year. And then in Hopkins, he makes a few key mistakes when he's in the game against Eris, and I'm thinking maybe this guy's not all he's cracked up to be. But by the end of the season, man, you knew when Sekou was coming on, he was going to inject the game with this spark and this tenacity on the ball that usually kept us ahead. I mean, it always kept us ahead, but better yet, it usually helped put the game out of reach, especially with those assists that he's adding, the goal he scored. Eventually, Sekou became the go-to guy coming off the bench to kill a game and to put it out of reach.
Well, he came to us as a pretty raw but talented player through the open trial process last year. And what we saw was a guy that we could use like in a year. And not to say he couldn't compete last year. He did. We saw that. But what I mean is we were looking at a really good squad depth guy who just needed to get the lay of the land and understand our division. And now you fast forward, he's had a successful first year in school, and he comes back to us after playing regular soccer for a full year, and now knows the NPSL North and what it will throw at him, as well as how to play with his returning teammates, which there's quite a few. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to seeing him kind of take the next step next year, and if he can grow off of what he performed at last year towards the end of the season.
Yeah, if he can grow, man, the talent on this team.
Yeah, exactly. So next up is tonight's guest and a signing that some did not expect. The team announced last week that midfielder Max Stiegwardt is back, folks. And, midfielder Max Stiegwardt of the Best 11. So voted out of 96 teams, he was voted one of the best players in the whole entire country. And people should really be excited about this signing.
Absolutely, John. Well, I'm super excited because I'm probably the biggest Max Stiegwardt fan. That Max is always in my conversation for best goal last year, important contributors to the team and all that. But don't take my word for it. In the season awards recap article from last year, E Pluribus Lunum did a great job illustrating the impact that Max has when he's on the field for Minneapolis City. They pointed out that in the 9 games that he played last season, we went 8 wins, of course, 0 losses, and 1 draw. And in the 6 that he didn't play, we only won 2 of them. We drew 3, and we, of course, lost that playoff game in Ann Arbor. Max's importance on the field cannot be overstated in my mind.
No, the statistics speak for themselves, but spread out between the 2016 PLA season when he started with us, and then last year's NPSL season, his impact was felt. He's featured in 13 games for the club, almost 1,000 minutes, and scored 6 goals and 5 assists, receiving 2 yellow cards. So as a deep line midfielder, I think those last 3 stats are pretty impressive, seeing that, he's got almost a goal every other game and at least an assist almost every other game. And then only 2 yellow cards being where he's in a position where there's a lot of points of contact, and he's a hard tackler. So that's pretty impressive that you only see 2 yellow cards. He doesn't have AO like numbers, but who does, right?
I think AO got more yellow cards for his mouth than he did for any hard tackles or anything on the field.
That's Bryce's decision to make.
Bryce. So we're gonna talk to Max in just a minute, but before we do, I want to talk about the 3rd signing announced this week. This guy was a late addition to last year's roster, but he made an immediate impact in the title race. He tormented defenses, especially Duluth, who he scored a brace against, with his speed, his shot, and his gamesmanship, which I really like the most. He's really a trickster who never runs out of tricks. He is Justin Oliver.
I mean, what can you really say about Justin Oliver? Then he's the guy that you love on your team but hate to play against. I mean, it's kind of the best way to describe Justin. I mean, that like you said, he's constantly moving. He's tormenting people, whether it's with the ball or without the ball. So
it's like that's physically and mentally, like with the space that he occupies on the field and what he does with the ball. But he also is fucking with you. You can just watch him. It's my favorite thing to watch about Justin is you can watch him fuck with the other players and try to get a rise out of him.
Yep, and it's one of the things he does best, and that's kind of what you look for out of an attacking player. Considering that the majority of our attacking players are like Will Kidd and
Nick Hutton, like super nice dudes.
Right, exactly. And Justin's a super nice guy also, but he just
Brandon
got that
McGarity with his fucking tucked in shirt.
Yeah, like we have a front line of full on accountants. But Justin brings an edge, which you need. He's a former Division III All-American at St. Thomas. And Justin, like I said, is just built to get himself into dangerous attacking positions. And he has that take no shit attitude and just flat out, loves playing the game of soccer. And like he's mentioned, he came to us a little bit late in the game, and he was involved in stints with some teams at the USL level and the PDL level. But he featured in 5 games with 251 minutes played, 5 goals, so a goal a game, and 3 assists and 2 yellow cards. So Justin Oliver, everybody.
So that's some insane production, even if it is a limited sample set. That's just nuts for
for our level. Yeah.
I mean, for our level especially. I mean, I'm really excited to see if you can chalk that up to Justin coming into the league late and playing a lot of teams with tired legs, or if he can maintain that level of success across what is now the 12 games that Minneapolis City will be playing. If he can walk away from this season with 10 plus goals and half as many assists, it's got to be a success.
Right, absolutely. Totally agree.
But now it's time to move on and welcome our guest for tonight. He was recently announced as the latest addition to the Minneapolis City midfield, and he is quickly becoming one of the beating hearts of the team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Max Stiegwardt. Welcome, Max. How are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm happy to be here. It's always a pleasure getting to play with your hometown friends and pretty much family, growing up with everyone again. So I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Nice, Max. Let's start by talking about your soccer background. You say hometown, but you were born, according to your bio, you were born in Paraguay, right? And you moved to the States probably when you were super young.
Yeah, so I've really lived all over. I was born in Paraguay. I lived there for 5 years. Lived in Chicago for a year while my dad finished up his master's. And then we were actually going to move back to Paraguay, but he got a last-minute job offer from Cargill up here in Minnesota. Stayed here for 13 years. Then my sophomore year of high school, moved down to South Florida, sunny South Florida. Great time. And then, then went to college, played 2 years at Louisville, and then 2 years at UCF, and here I am.
So when did you really come to start playing the game of soccer? Was it when you were here in Minnesota?
Yeah, so as soon as we moved here and my parents got me involved in just like a little rec league, I was about 6 years old, 7 years old. Started kind of late actually. Little guys start sooner nowadays, but 7 years old, just started kicking the soccer ball around. We wore the same logo. We had orange jerseys, the other team had blue jerseys, and they threw four of us, five of us against five of the same team, and we just kind of all huddled around the ball. Some guys were involved, other guys were out chasing butterflies. So,
so you mentioned that you moved a little bit, which means you probably played all over here and then probably in Florida. Give us a rundown of kind of your playing experience here in Minnesota, and then when you went to Florida, what were the situations there?
Yeah, so I think when I moved right away, I could, I think there's a culture difference right away. I think guys, soccer up here is a lot more technical. I think you find, it's a lot more possessive game, a lot more of a mental game. And down there, it's kind of, it's very hectic at times. There's a lot of Latin culture and a lot of European culture, and guys get very hot-headed and they go in studs up. And here I think guys have a little more respect for each other and, don't try to two studs you right in the ankle at the very first 10 minutes of the game. But, I think growing up here and having really good coaches and a really good program, that all like just helped getting away from, not getting into little fights. You're never really in the game if you're fighting against an opponent the whole game. So I think it was also very cool to see two different cultures of the game.
Right.
And you're an MTA guy, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I started with PSA way back in the day when they were still around, Plymouth Soccer Association, and then when Bangoo and Wings formed, I was with MTA their very first years.
Oh yeah, okay. And that's is that when you got the opportunity to play for the U.S. U14 and U15 squad?
Yeah. So after I think 6 months into MTA, I was actually a right mid. Our center back got injured, quickly converted into a center back because I was the only guy that was willing to do it. 6 months into that, I was doing really well. Went to ODP, made the state team, went to regional camp, made the region camp, went to national team camp, and then it was like August in I can't even remember the exact date, but it was in August. I remember my family and I were down in Florida, and we got an email saying I had made the 36-man pool for the national team. And I was going to the camp coming up. And then for the next 2 years after that, I made every single camp, every single international trip we took. So that was a really cool experience until we got to U16. And then they told me I was getting a little small to be a center back. So I had to move up to the midfield.
That's crazy. So you went from right mid to center back, and within 6 months you were
a center mid.
You were owning the ODP.
Yep. So it was definitely a change.
What was so like when you were growing up, when you were, from, I don't know, 8 to 14, like what was your soccer, I don't know, how did your soccer education play into your ability to just say, I'm going to be on a totally different part of the field with completely different responsibilities, looking at the game in a totally different way and exceed at a high level? Yeah,
well, to be honest, I was really bad at soccer until I think about 11. Playing for PSA, like I was on the second team until my last year at PSA when I finally made the first team. But it was just always, like I was just working hard and getting through practices. But at that age, you're just enjoying it. You don't really take into account if there's a first team, a second team, a third team, whatever it is. But looking back on it, I was like, wow, like I really wasn't that good until my last year at PSA. But yeah, I think I've always been a guy that, I like challenges. I like trying new things. I'm open to trying new things. And I think there's a confidence into that I think it guides me in life. So when the opportunity came and, no one wanted to play center back, no one wanted to play defense, I was like, yeah, why not? I'll do it. And there you go.
That's like the opposite of what kids want to do is like, oh, I'd have the opportunity to never be a striker. I'll do it.
Yeah. The thing I also did it for was as a right mid on MTA. So I was playing with Makwele Akale, who's now at Villarreal, Jackson Ewell, who's now San Jose Earthquakes, Tristan Ketterer, who's just signed a contract in Germany. So a lot of the guys actually in that age group that I played with are professionals now, but I wasn't a starter as a right mid, and I knew as a center back I'd play a lot more because no one else wanted to do it. And we only had 2 center backs. So I was like, yeah, like this will get me on the field a lot more, and boom, it took off from there.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't think that you would have been at MTA with Jackson and
Yeah,
McCarry.
so
That's
I
great.
grew up with all of them. It was really cool.
Something in the water that year when all you were born, right?
Apparently.
Yeah, something like that.
So Max, when you joined Minneapolis City in 2016, if I remember right, you were like in and out of the squad that summer due
Yep.
to I think some international commitments, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you care to elaborate on what those were? I don't think I ever got the story on that.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, I remember coming home. My family had just moved back to Minnesota, and it was after my freshman year at Louisville. And speaking to my head coach there, he was like, guys, when they go home for the summer, they usually play PDL, NPSL, or some sort of league to stay in shape and get your game minutes and all that. And I was like, oh, I had no idea. It was kind of last minute. I think in April, I reached out to a good friend of mine, Raheem Omar, I was like, so hey, like, what are you doing for the summer? Are you going to be in Minnesota? He's like, yeah, heard of this club, Minneapolis City. They're going to be like the highest end soccer other than Minnesota United and for the summer. And I was like, oh, okay. Can you hook me up with the coach? Can I get involved? He was like, yeah, here's the coach's number. Reach out to him. So I did. I texted Keith Kicker, and he also played at Louisville, so it was a pretty cool connection there right away. And yeah, it just got me involved and all that. But then yeah, as soon as I think it was a month after a couple weeks in, I got called to go train with the U20 Paraguay national team down in my home country, and I went there for 2 weeks. So that was a really, really cool experience. Again, different culture.
Yeah.
Their like practice fields look like what we played on that first year. So the guys are used to every pass hitting you in the kneecap and kind of like that. So it was definitely kind of a wake up call to go back home and see that everything there isn't always concrete on the road and stuff like that. So I think more than just soccer, it was a really cool experience.
So how did you get yourself? Sorry, John, go ahead.
I was gonna say, as far as like your involvement with Paraguay, was it getting ready for, some sort of tournament, or was it kind of just, the general cattle call camp to bring guys in to start selecting and refining?
Yeah, so that camp they had brought in 30 guys exactly. They're like kind of a big pool of guys that haven't been on the team that just have nationality.
Yeah.
And from there, I made the 18 there, but then they took like 2 or 3 guys that were actually already pros in Spain onto like the first team camp because they were getting ready for the Olympics. So they were playing qualifiers to play in the Olympics.
Oh, right. So how did you get answer the call? Like, how'd you get into that mix? Did they just open up the birth registry for your year in Paraguay and start calling people, or what?
No, so unfortunately they're very like, they're not really modern. I guess they don't have the best kind of scouting technology to see who was born there and stuff like that. So actually, my dad was asking me, hey, like, would you ever play with the Paraguay national team? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, that's where my roots are. If I got the chance, I would love to go back home and represent my country that I was born in. So one of his best friends that he grew up with is the director of the national team. So he's involved in like all the managing in there. So we reached out to him, sent over some video and all that stuff, and they researched my name, and a lot of things came up, and they saw that I was involved with the younger national team, with the U.S. national team, and they were like, yeah, come to this. We're having this camp, with a bunch of guys actually that were born here but play all over the world. So it was pretty cool to have connects like that.
Wow. So what was that? I mean, like you mentioned it, like you go down there and it's a environment with like kind of a, lower quality pitch and roads not paved and things like that. Like in general, what was that experience like? And had you in your travels to Paraguay before that, was that something you'd experienced?
Not really like that. Every time I've gone back home, it's to visit family or to see family members, or for big occasions like weddings or big birthdays or stuff like that. But I'd say it's, again, like the culture. Guys there, if they don't play well, they don't eat. And that's a lot of the stories for a lot of guys. If they don't make it out of this poor culture by making it big time, they can't provide food for their family. So, a lot of the guys, I realized, like, it was almost as everyone hated each other because they knew they were competing for something bigger.
Yeah.
The guys wouldn't really associate each other. Here you get into a mix of like, let's say an ODP or like a Minneapolis City. You connect with guys quickly. You find, oh, you lived in Wisconsin for a year. Oh, I played at Wisconsin for a year. or stuff like that.
Mhm.
But over there was everyone kept to themselves. It was very, like, trainings were very, very intense, guys. It was very a fiery, like, atmosphere. There was occasionally guys would slide tackle each other in harmful ways. And, that's just how you had to get through it. It wasn't like Florida prepared me for that. So that was, yeah.
So that's, I mean, when you talk about coming here, playing with MTA, going down to Florida, changing your play style a little bit, and then, experiences in the U14, U15 for US, and then down in Paraguay. Like, how does all this very different, very diverse experience with soccer at a young age help you grow as a player? How did it help you grow into the player that you are now? And what do you think it's going to do for you in the future?
Yeah, no, I think at a young age, that definitely lets you get out of your shell a little bit. I think when you stick around in a bubble for too long, you kind of just get content, and you don't really push yourself at times, or you don't meet other people or learn different playing styles, because you see a lot of the same thing from day to day. But I think getting exposed to that at a young age, I quickly learned that I like to lead. I like to be a leader. I like to interact with new guys, or I like to just, again, find myself a challenge. And playing with, hundreds of different kids in a couple of years, I met lifelong friends that I'm still friends with today. I met different coaches that have helped me throughout this day, and just stuff like that, and it's always great getting to see them again. But, you get out of your comfort zone. And I think not only as a soccer player, but as a person, it really helps you grow and get out of just your comfort level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were, as we know, with us in year one, and remembering the total clown show that was, with even like simple shit like where we practice. So you left us after year one, and obviously came back last season. But tell us, what the return home meant to you, and what were the big things that changed when you came back into the fold with Minneapolis City?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, coming back. Again, it was just, even from the beginning, just the more of the organization right away. There was, okay, you want to play, boom, get registered, happen instantly. Once you're registered, you were in a group chat, everyone was talking in the group chat, or, things would change on the fly, and you would get a text from whoever it was. Or, we had, I remember with our first year, one time, we couldn't get in our turf practicing facility. So for a couple of weeks, we had to practice in our game field, which, again, only gave us an advantage playing there. But, I remember, coming back, we didn't have any changes. It was, we had scheduled times to practice where, when, what, or, even things as like really cool gear that we got to do, or really cool community involvement that we got to do. But yeah, everything was just so much more organized, and guys were on top of things. And, I think it made the playing role a lot more easier than what I got used to the first year.
We call those little wins, Max.
Yeah, for sure.
So you transferred schools from Louisville to Central Florida. What was the move like? Because it seemed like at that time the school at Central Florida was like on a sport rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, kind of started around your first year. What was the move like, and what took you to Central Florida?
Yeah, so after my first 2 years, I wasn't playing as much as I would like to, and we played a different game than I had originally committed to. It was the assistant coach at Mario Sanchez. He went to SIUE. He was a very possessive-oriented coach. They attacked with lots of numbers, and as soon as he left, things changed a little. But again, nothing negative. It was just a different style that I don't think just suited me. But I remember when I was looking to transfer, I was speaking to Portland, Creighton, and UCF. And Portland, Creighton, really good schools, really good program histories. But speaking to the new coaches, Scott Calabrese, who was at FIU before, and Paul Souders, who was at New Mexico before, coming from both really winning cultures and playing a really good style of soccer, they were like, you can go to Portland, you can go to Creighton, and probably do really well. But, not everyone in their life gets to say, I started that program, or I started that culture. And I think that's what really hit me the most, or woke me up and was like, yeah, like, I want to be part of something that in the next couple of years, people are going to be like, I want to go there. That's going to be one of the big top 10, top 15 schools, which, I mean, we finished 12th this year. So it's crazy what happened already in 2 years. But yeah, I think that being part of that movement really spoke out to me. And again, another challenge that I wanted to accomplish.
So
real quick, was the soccer program like non-existent or just really not great at Central Florida before you got there? Or what was the story there?
It just really wasn't great. They were in the American Conference. So they played a Tulsa, they played a USF, a UConn, an SMU, a bunch of, very hard, teams hard to play, definitely, especially late in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So they had never won the conference tournament before, or a conference championship. They had made the NCAA just only a couple times, with only a couple of names coming out of there to play MLS. So it was from what I heard before, they had a coach that would just really just play kickball and pack it in. And here comes a coach that wants to do the complete opposite. They want to play out of the back, have a very possessive oriented attack with our wing backs and our wingers and multiple numbers, and completely changed the program.
Huh.
So you had quite a few big wins this past season at Central Florida, including one with your game winner in the conference tournament, I believe it was. Now that you're done with school, what was kind of the most memorable moment that you had, after, whether before your transfer or after?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, to be honest. I think at Louisville, it was really cool to, make the Elite Eight and be part of that, and just had such a winning culture. I think we won every single game except one that year or something like that. It was something crazy. I remember being in the locker room, and every time we won, we would put a sticker up on the locker room against the team we had just played. Like, okay, that token is done with, on to the next one. And I think that was a really cool, just driving moment to see everyone so bought in and so just ready for that culture. And then at Central Florida, I think, especially my senior year for sure, started off really big away at Penn State, winning in overtime. And then from there, just completely outpossessing teams and winning games and stuff like that right away. And I think in big moments too, like playing Virginia Tech at home, being down 2-0, then coming back and tying them, big teams like that, or being even small teams, being away at Stetson and being down 2-0 at half and then coming back and winning 4-2, stuff like that, just stuff that, results that you say, wow, we earned that result. There's no, we got lucky, or the ref gave us a PK or stuff like that. It was really, this team's bought in, and then to see what we did that year that had never been done in program history, it was really cool to be a part of that.
In general, that's kind of the story of your time at Central Florida, don't you think? That
yeah, for sure,
earned it the whole way through, right? It all feels like one, big accomplishment built on a bunch of little accomplishments, at least from what you told us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did, doing my research, I got to watch, I watched your post-game interview after the win, your game-winning shot in the conference tournament. And I got to ask you, did you see Wayne Rooney's goal against Orlando this weekend?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Is it fair to say that he stole your shot?
Maybe. I think
it's the exact same thing, dude.
Yeah, I think at that point, you're not really focusing on hitting a banger. You're just more focused on, can I get a whip in a good ball that, if no one gets a foot on it or a head on it, it'll sink in. And I think we were both able to do that on big occasions.
I'm pretty sure on Wayne Rooney's free time, he's just trolling ESPN Plus for college soccer games. So
there were 83 views on that interview on YouTube, and I gotta assume that Wayne Rooney was at least 5 of them.
So Max, you left us in our second year to explore a PDL as an option closer to school, and we've talked a lot about on the show about how, in the right or wrong situation, the NPSL is not any worse than the PDL as an option, as people may think.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your PDL experience away, and what eventually brought you back to the nest here in Minnesota.
Yeah, so to be honest, we didn't really have a good PDL year when I went there. It was just a bunch of guys that I played academy with that came back for college, a bunch of young guys. We didn't really have any experience or leadership at this next level, really. But yeah, I think the PDL game is very hectic. It's very athletic. It's
like college.
Yeah, a little bit like college. But then you have it's really weird because you'll have a bunch of college guys, and then you'll have some 30-year-old guys who have played pro, but the team has a lot of money, like Miami FC or something like that, or they bring in international guys that played at a big level. It's just a really weird mix. But yeah, it's different, and I think the NPSL level, you have a lot more quality. You have a lot more like technical ability, and the game's a lot smarter. So I don't think. I mean, you have athleticism too. It depends on the team you play. If you play a team like Duluth, all they're looking for is to hit that athleticism in behind or bully you in the midfield. But I think it's just it's a very different game. But I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think it's just two kind of different levels, and I think it also depends on which side of the country you're playing on. I think the West Coast is completely different than the East Coast, and the North is completely different than the South.
It's weird how you can have a totally different experience, on different sides of the country.
Absolutely.
Based upon, like you said, based on the colleges that send their kids to certain teams, right? Because I'm sure that's a big part of how the PDL gets players is they have relationships with certain schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you're going to get, like you said, the old dudes that are back, just eking out the last remaining paycheck.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So last summer for the Crows, you were quite prolific, I'll say, scoring 4 goals and assisting in 5, which is pretty solid. While at UCF, of course, the goals did not come as easily for you beyond that one banger. Would you attribute that to the competition level, to the system that you played in, to playing maybe a more free-flowing forward role here at Minneapolis City, or just that Crow magic that got in you?
No, I don't think the level is too different. I'd actually say some NPSL teams actually are actually a lot higher than some college teams. I just think, the college teams obviously have more time together. I think they're more organized, probably a little more in shape.
Mm-hmm.
So it might look a little different at times. But no, I think my role at UCF was a lot different. I played in a lot of different roles. I played out wide at times. I played as a 10. I played as a 6 at times. I played as an 8. So I kind of played all over the place. But yeah, I think being as a Crow, it was just that I think I was more, at home with the guys, and I took more of a leadership role there at the Crows, at being home and whatnot, and playing in front of your home fans and stuff like that. It was a little more of a pride thing and stuff like that, and maybe taking a little more risk than you would like in a college game and stuff like that going forward. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too different. I just think the approach might have been a little different for sure.
Yeah, right on.
So we covered off quite a few topics, but I do want to ask, it seems as if that there's a direct correlation between where you came from in school and last summer. But what do you think was the key to success for City last year? Is it truly the brotherhood, or did the stars just align for a year for us to have an undefeated season?
I think the brotherhood is a big part of it. I don't think you can have a winning team when guys are hating each other, when guys are negative to each other. I remember a big moment last year. I think we were still undefeated, kind of mid-season. We're having a training session, and guys were kind of getting mad and stuff like that. And I remember Adam pulling us all in together and being like, guys, like, take a deep breath. We're undefeated. Like, we're playing great soccer. There's nothing to really stress about. And I think that it's a big point because guys wanted more out of each other, and we were pushing each other a lot. So it got a little negative. But that instant, we all realized, like, we're all in the same boat. We're all brothers. We're playing for our hometown fans, and we're killing it right now. And I also think the depth chart is incredible. Having great coaches like Adam, Matt, John coming in at times, our goalkeeping staff, and not only that, but having a U23 roster too, getting guys involved that are younger, coming out of high school, coming out of their first couple years in college, and that can, they can step into a game after practicing with the U23s or after scrimmaging, when we scrimmage throughout the week, scrimmaging each other, they're ready for that next level. And I think the depth was a huge part. Because I remember, guys like Josh De La Rosa coming in and scoring big time goals. Or I remember, a guy like Siku, who towards the end of the season was a huge role for us coming off the bench. So it definitely developed, a lot of character and a lot of confidence for, guys to be like, hey, you know what, like, I can really help this team out, whatever my role is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2019, man, it is, we returned to Edor Nelson Field. You were the player that missed out. You went from the field that could have easily been the surface of the moon in 2016 to kind of our Wembley year up in Osseo. Not the best turf experience up there, but still pretty decent.
Undefeated turf experience.
That's right. You can't knock it that bad or that hard. Yep. But now you're gonna be back at what really is the home stadium, what feels like the home stadium, right in the middle of the city. Way more fans showing up for the games. How excited are you? What's your anticipation level for this next season?
Yeah, so looking forward to this season. Again, I think it's another challenge, and not just my life, but a bunch of the guys. We went undefeated last year, and we're expecting nothing less than that. Can we get less ties this year? Can we win more? I think that's the big goal, and it starts with the very first game. I think it even starts in the preseason matches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's the big goal, and getting the pace on set at practice and making sure guys are healthy, making sure guys are fit. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to. I think the more fans we can get, the better. The more people we can reach out to, the more people we can feel and get involved is awesome. Seeing little kids at games and be like, "Wow, that was awesome." Or shaking your hand after the game and be like, "Oh, I want to play for City one day." Just stuff like that, or getting the community involved. Absolutely. So I think outside the soccer, that's another big goal too. Is can we reach out to more people? Can we get more people at the games? Can we have an even better fan support? Can we add fans to the support we have now? The incredible support we have now, who follow us on Twitter, Instagram, everything, and they're always there, making sure they get their retweet in or making sure they get the comment in, and I love it.
They were cat. I mean, how many cat heads did you have in your stands when you were
Exactly.
There's going to be so many
Exactly.
more. All right, Max. So we used to put guests through what was the Lupient Auto speed round, but now we've got a new season, and we're doing something new with our guests. So we're going to play a little game of word association right now.
All right.
John, have we locked in a sponsor for this, or are we still kind of flying?
We have, but the ink is still not dry yet on the contract.
So the ink is so wet. It's taken like 3 weeks to dry. It's
very humid here.
It happens.
All right, so Max, I'm going to say a word, and you tell us the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Minneapolis City.
Winning.
Golden.
Goal.
Doritos.
Locos.
Game.
Soccer.
Lake.
Fishing.
Black.
White.
Open.
Field.
Tricks.
Magic.
Ooh, that one. This might be a repeat. Oh well. City.
Minneapolis.
Van.
Tacos.
Bird.
Feeder.
Keg.
Beer.
Boots.
Cleats.
School.
Children.
And the Brotherhood.
Minneapolis City.
All right, there you go.
So I like to give everyone a grade, and I'm going to give you a solid C.
I was getting no higher. I got caught in a little. No, not going to lie.
So some highlights for me were school
Doritos
children.
Locos.
School children, number one. But you got positive points for Doritos Locos because why not, right?
I don't even eat Taco Bell, but I've seen that commercial so many times. I think it's a trigger word now.
But I think where it really went downhill for you, Max. I think, and it's all fun and games, but bird, there's a logical answer than feeder.
Yeah, Crows is coming into the head.
Yeah. But anyways,
That's
Max,
right.
thank you so much for joining us this week on the show. That's all for tonight. Thank you again to midfielder Max Stiegwardt, and thanks as always to our sponsor, Summit Brewing. It is Maibach time, my friends. Get out to your local watering hole and get some on tap today, or maybe even the club shop. Who knows? Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. If giving to the community means a lot to you, maybe it's time to give to the club that loves to give back. It's tax season, and Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game. Look for us out at parks this summer with kids everywhere, and consider that deductible donation to a truly city-focused organization. Now is the right time to grab that Minneapolis City membership. It's the best deal in town for soccer at only $80. Your membership gets you a season pass to 10 NPSL home games, all the U23 home games, a preseason friendly against Harpo's in less than a month, and any other games that may pop up. You also get your exclusive membership scarf, 2 flex tickets to share your love of City with your friends, and a membership card that gets you 10% off at the club shop and deals on Summit at our official game day bar, Palmer's. Plus, there's more. But wait, there's more. You get a vote on important club matters, including selecting the membership board or maybe even new jerseys that might come. Visit mplscitysc.com and make it happen. Hey, send us mail. It's super easy. Hit us up on Twitter at People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions and comments and concerns are welcome. And finally, you can always hit up the club and complain to them at MPLS City SC. That is all for this week's show. Once again, we leave you with our house MC, Miles Stockman Willis, a.k.a. Milays. I am John. That is Nate. That was Max. T-minus 4 weeks, folks, until you will see some City action if you are a member. So get out there and do the memberships. And you got hooked.
I see the real you, yeah, boo, I found you. So don't ever frown when loneliness is around you. I'ma show you that someone should crown you, not clown you, but pursue virtue would never hurt you. Critical in distance, touch is digital, biblical. Till death, love is unconditional. Telling us we're a team and not two individuals. For you, I give my spleen, the spiritual and the physical. Loving what is fragile isn't always fixable, but I see what's invisible. See it with vex visuals. Grab my hand, hold it. We gon' think the unthinkable. I promise we will float, that our boat's unsinkable. I promise I'ma drown in you, let you drown in me. Reveal the recipe, you I love to overfeed. I love it. Let's proceed slowly, not go bad like moldy. Ravioli, rigatoni. Girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall for me, please. Just tell me when you fall. Free, girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall for me, please. Just tell me when you fall. Temptation's about to give in, but I'm staying true. If I sin, may I be forgiven for a few. What we got to lose? Nothing. You just gotta listen. Such a good girl. Great. Just made a bad decision. One and done. She looking fine. Nothing missing. But got my hands tied like I'm the villain. Evil only swallows pride, but I'm sometimes kidding. Finger licker kitty after feed the kittens. Cute shit. Kiss me softer than a baby's grip. New sense of high when she bites her lower lip. If she quit, make my heart skip, then snip. When we're together like ice cream mixed with some mint pepper. Shawty had to rescue my respiratory. Wants a man who's a man, that is mandatory. Only without her off the pad, like I never met with Dory. Help her write her story, take the qualms out her quarry. Girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall for me, please. Just tell me when you fall. Girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall for me, please. Just tell me when you fall. Selfie Thomas as the rollie. Always be my plus one. Shawty is my bogey. In it for the long haul, not for the trophy. Every day, feeling greater than Tony. Falling for her, and I think she falling for me too. I hope falling like two V's, make a W. Type of dude to build you up and make the rubble move. Type of dude to have my phone out all in front of you. Only cause you got my back. Presence always sets the mood. Never starts any trouble without any proof. No problems if there was, make the puzzle poof. Laugh it off. Goofballs, you should see the spoof. Girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall for me, please. Just tell me when you fall. Free, girl, I'm free falling for you. Still, temptation follows free. Just tell me when you fall